When I first bought my little slice of paradise, I never imagined it would become the epicenter of a legal and military storm. The land was nothing fancy, just a modest plot in a sleepy subdivision, surrounded by tall pines and the occasional family home. I had saved for years, pooling money from my deployment paychecks and side jobs, hoping one day to settle down somewhere peaceful after my military service. Life had other plans. I was deployed overseas when it happened. My schedule was packed with missions and briefings, leaving no time to worry about home, or so I thought. One quiet evening, I was scrolling through my emails when a subject line made me freeze. Urgent. HOA action on your property. My stomach dropped. I clicked it, expecting a simple notice about a late fee or something minor. What I found instead was a message from the Homeowners Association claiming I had abandoned my property, and, in their words, they had exercised their rights to sell it on the open market. I reread it multiple times. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The HOA had sold my land without my consent. No warning. No opportunity to respond. Nothing. My land, my money, my future. It had all been stripped away while I was halfway across the world serving my country. At first, I was furious. Then disbelief settled in. I contacted my lawyer immediately, only to find that the HOA had some bizarre clause buried deep in their bylaws that they interpreted as giving them the right to sell property if the owner was absent for an extended period. My absence apparently counted. Even my proof of military deployment didn't seem to matter. I tried to negotiate to buy back the land, but the HOA wouldn't budge. They had already sold it to a private developer who planned to build luxury homes. The injustice burned in my chest. But being in the military, I had learned two things: patience and strategy. I didn't act rashly. I planned. Then it hit me. If they could leverage legal loopholes in my absence, maybe there was a way to fight back with something equally powerful. I dug deep, researching property law, military protections, and federal statutes. I discovered that under the Service Members Civil Relief Act, SCRA, homeowners in active duty status were protected from certain types of foreclosure and repossession. In essence, my land should have been untouchable. The HOA had violated federal law. I drafted a notice to the HOA, citing the SCRA and demanding immediate reversal of the sale. They laughed at first, or at least that's what their attorney's tone suggested. The developer, sensing trouble, froze all plans. That was my first victory. But I wanted justice, not just restoration. The legal battle escalated, and that's when my next, somewhat unorthodox, idea took shape. I realized that if the military could intervene in cases of fraud or illegal activity affecting service members, perhaps I could call in a favor. I drafted a formal complaint through the Department of Defense legal channels. My argument was simple but audacious. The HOA's actions were illegal, violated federal law, and directly harmed a deployed service member. Within weeks, I received an unexpected call from a military legal officer. They were intrigued. Not only did they confirm that the HOA had broken the law, but they also reminded me that the federal government has certain powers to reclaim property acquired unlawfully, especially when service members are affected. I was careful in my wording, never threatening, just stating facts. Then the most surreal moment happened. A few months later, as I was finishing another mission briefing, I received a call from my lawyer, his voice tinged with disbelief and excitement. "You're not going to believe this, but the military is taking action." Apparently, the Department of Defense had coordinated with federal authorities to repossess the subdivision illegally sold by the HOA. They didn't just target my property. They seized control of the entire development, citing widespread violations of property law and the SCRA, and alleging fraudulent practices by the HOA board. My tiny plot of land had triggered an operation that affected dozens of properties. When I returned home, I walked through the subdivision I had once dreamed of owning. There was a strange mix of chaos and order. Some homes boarded up, some under inspection, but everywhere there were notices posted by federal authorities explaining the repossession. My property was intact, untouched, a small victory carved out of a much larger fight. The HOA board faced legal action, fines, and public scrutiny. The developer who had bought my land backed out, citing the legal complications. I had my property back, but more importantly, The system had recognized that service members deserve protection and that no one, not even a homeowners association, could flout federal law with impunity. In the end, I didn't just reclaim my land. I became a cautionary tale, a minor legend in legal and military circles. The soldier whose home was stolen while deployed and who used the law and the military itself to take back not just his land, but the entire neighborhood. I sometimes walk past the subdivision and smile. It's more than land. It's a reminder that patience, strategy, and knowing your rights can turn even the most absurd injustice into a story of triumph. And every time a neighbor thanks me for helping reclaim the neighborhood, I can't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Who knew that being deployed overseas could lead to repossessing an entire subdivision? Life is strange, but sometimes justice is stranger. By the time the legal dust settled, the HOA was dissolved, the subdivision was managed properly under federal oversight, and my land remained mine. And me? I had a story few would believe, but one I'll never forget.